Coming to the details of the femoral artery. So please remember that the femoral artery is the chief artery of the lower limb. It originates as a continuation of the external iliac artery at the mid-inguinal point. Next, it passes downward and medially in the femoral triangle, leaves through the apex of the femoral triangle, and then where it will enter? It will enter the adductor canal. Then it runs through the adductor canal and leaves through its fifth osteoaponeurotic opening of the adductor magnus, and then ends by becoming continuous with the popliteal artery. I will discuss its course within the adductor canal once again in the medial compartment of the thigh. Coming to the relations of the femoral artery. So what will be the interior relations? Again, the layers: skin, superficial fascia, deep fascia, and then there will be interior wall of the femoral sheath. Then posterior relations, what will be that? The psoas major muscle, next the pectineus muscle, the adductor longus muscle, and the posterior wall of the femoral sheath. Within the adductor canal, its posterior relations has the adductor magnus muscle. Then next, medially lies the femoral vein. Now, the relationship of the femoral vein with the femoral artery changes with its course. The femoral vein initially lies medial to the femoral artery in the femoral triangle. At the apex of the femoral triangle, the femoral vein lies behind the femoral artery, and then in the adductor canal, it comes lateral, and finally at the lower end of the adductor canal, the vein is lateral to the femoral artery. Coming to the lateral relations of the femoral artery, in the upper part, the femoral nerve is lateral to the femoral artery, whereas lower down, the branches of the femoral nerve lies in the lateral relation of the femoral artery. Coming to the branches of the femoral artery. So the femoral artery in the femoral triangle gives the superficial sets of branches, which we have already discussed: the superficial epigastric, superficial external pudendal, and the superficial circumflex celiac. And it also gives the deep sets of branches. This includes the profunda femoris artery, the deep external pudendal artery, and the muscular branches. The profunda femoris artery is chief artery of the medial compartment of the thigh, and I will discuss this in detail in the medial compartment of the thigh. Then the deep external pudendal artery runs medially in the femoral triangle, passes deep to the spermatic cord in male or the round ligament in female, and ends by supplying the scrotum or the labium majus. Apart from that, there are certain muscular branches which supplies the muscles of the branch of the thigh. Within the adductor canal, the femoral artery gives the descending genicular and the muscular branches. I will discuss them in detail in the adductor canal. Coming to the femoral vein. The femoral vein begins as the upward continuation of the popliteal vein at the lower end of the adductor canal. Then it runs in the adductor canal where it lies lateral to the femoral artery. It enters the femoral triangle through its apex behind the artery. Within the femoral triangle, it shifts to the medial side of the artery, and it is continuous as the external iliac vein behind the inguinal ligament. It gives the following tributaries. One of the major tributary is the great saphenous vein. Apart from it, there are lateral and the medial circumflex veins, and the other veins corresponding to the branches of the femoral artery. Femoral sheath. It is a funnel-shaped sleeve of fascia enclosing the upper part of the femoral blood vessels. It is formed by the downward extension of the two layers of the fascia of the abdomen. The interior wall of the sheath is formed by the fascia transversalis, whereas the posterior wall is formed by the fascia iliaca. Inferiorly, the sheath merges with the connective tissue around the femoral blood vessels. The sheath is asymmetrical, with its lateral wall being vertical and medial wall being oblique, directed downward and laterally. The sheath is divided into the three compartments by the septa. The lateral or the arterial compartment contains the femoral artery and the femoral branch of the genitofemoral nerve. The intermediate or the venous compartment contains the femoral vein. The medial or the lymphatic compartment is the smallest of the all and is also known as the femoral canal, about which we will study in the next slide. The medialmost compartment, which contains the femoral canal, is conical in shape. That is, it is wide above and narrow below. It is approximately 1.5 cm long and about 1.5 cm wide at its base. This base or the upper end of the femoral canal is also known as the femoral ring. Now, this femoral ring is covered by the condensation of the extraperitoneal connective tissue that closes it, and this is known as the femoral septum. The depression produced by the parietal peritoneum covering the femoral septum from above is known as the femoral fossa. So what are the contents of the femoral canal? Femoral canal contains the lymph nodes of Cloquet, also known as the lymph nodes of Rosenmüller. These lymph nodes drains the glans penis in males and clitoris in females. Besides, it also contains lymphatics and small amount of areolar tissue. Now, why this femoral canal and femoral ring is so important? This is because the femoral canal is an area of potential weakness in the abdominal wall through which abdominal contents may bulge out, forming a femoral hernia. A femoral hernia is more common in females because in females the femoral canal is usually wider because of the wider pelvis and the smaller size of the femoral vessels. It is usually not congenital. The course of a femoral hernia is typical. It usually pushes down through the femoral ring, passes downward through the femoral canal, then passes forward through the saphenous opening, and then finally pushed up by the folds and moves up through the subcutaneous tissue of the thigh and can sometimes even reach above the inguinal ligament. So for reduction of such a hernia, usually the reverse course is followed. Sometimes in cases of strangulation of the femoral hernia, the surgeon has to enlarge the femoral ring to reduce this. Now this is possible only by cutting the medial boundary of the femoral ring, which was formed by the lacunar ligament. Normally, this can be done without any danger. However, occasionally an abnormal obturator artery may lie along the edge of the lacunar ligament, and cutting it may cause an alarming hemorrhage. In a given image, you can also see an inguinal hernia as well as the femoral hernia in a same person, and you can see that the femoral hernia lies below and lateral to the pubic tubercle, whereas the inguinal hernia lies above and medial to the pubic tubercle. Coming to the femoral nerve. The femoral nerve is the chief nerve of the interior or the extensor compartment of the thigh, and it is one of the largest branches of the lumbar plexus. It is formed by the dorsal division of the anterior primary rami of L2, L3 and L4 spinal nerves. Coming to its course, it enters the femoral triangle by passing behind the inguinal ligament just lateral to the femoral artery. In the thigh, it lies in the groove between the iliacus and the psoas major muscle, but please remember it lies outside the femoral sheath. Then 2 cm below the inguinal ligament, the nerve divides into anterior and the posterior division. The two divisions gives the following sets of branches: the muscular branches, cutaneous branches, articular branches and the vascular branches. The anterior division of the femoral nerve gives only one muscular branch to the sartorius muscle and two cutaneous branches, that is the medial cutaneous and the intermediate cutaneous nerves of the thigh. Whereas the posterior division supplies the quadriceps femoris muscle, which includes the rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus medialis and the vastus intermedius, and it also supplies the articularis genu muscle. The branch to the rectus femoris also supplies the hip joint, whereas the branch to the vasti also supplies the knee joint. Apart from this, the posterior division gives one cutaneous branch, that is the saphenous nerve. Now the femoral nerve also gives the vascular branches to the femoral artery and its branches. So now I will discuss the details of the attachment, nerve supply and the actions of the muscle seen in the interior compartment of thigh. So the interior compartment of thigh includes a sartorius muscle, a group of 4 muscles collectively known as the quadriceps femoris and articularis genu. So the 4 muscles within the quadriceps femoris are the rectus femoris, the vastus lateralis, the vastus intermedius and the vastus medialis. The rectus femoris muscle is a fusiform muscle running vertically on the front of the thigh, superficial to the vasti, whereas the three vasti are wrapped around the femoral shaft in positions indicated by their names. Now, apart from these muscles, there are certain other muscles which belong to the other regions but are encountered on the front of the thigh. For example, iliacus and psoas muscles, they take origin within the abdomen. Pectineus and adductor longus, they are primarily the muscles of the medial compartment of thigh, and the tensor fasciae lata, which is the muscle of the gluteal region. So we will study these muscles in detail in their respective regions. Coming to the sartorius muscle. Sartorius muscle is the longest muscle in the body. This muscle is also known as the Taylor's muscle or the Palti muscle, as it helps in assuming that position. The muscle originates from the anterior superior iliac spine and it is inserted on the upper part of the medial surface of the shaft of the tibia, and the insertion resembles an upright hockey stick. It is supplied by the anterior division of the femoral nerve. The muscle acts as the flexor, abductor and the lateral rotator of the thigh at the hip joint, and it acts as the flexor of the knee joint. Next we come to the iliacus and the psoas major muscle. These muscles, as you all know now, that forms the lateral part of the floor of the femoral triangle. They are also helpful in forming the posterior abdominal wall. The iliacus takes origin from the iliac fossa of the hip bone, whereas the psoas major takes origin from the sides of the lumbar vertebrae. Both the muscles have a common insertion on the lesser trochanter of the femur, and they act as the chief flexor of the hip joint. Hence, the two muscles are also collectively known as the iliopsoas. The iliacus muscle is supplied by the femoral nerve, whereas the psoas major is supplied by the nerve roots from L2 and L3. You will be reading about these two muscles again in the posterior abdominal wall. Next we come to the rectus femoris. So the rectus femoris has two heads of origin. The straight head originates from the anterior inferior iliac spine, whereas the reflected head originates from the groove above the acetabular margin and the capsule of the hip joint. The muscle is inserted into the base of the patella anterior to the vastus intermedius, and it is supplied by the posterior division of the femoral nerve. It acts as an extensor of the knee joint and the flexor of the hip joint like the other quadriceps femoris muscle. Vastus medialis. This takes origin from the lower part of the intertrochanteric line, spiral line, medial lip of the linea aspera, and the upper 1/4 of the medial supracondylar line. The muscle is inserted onto the medial 1/3 of the base, upper 2/3 of the medial border of the patella, and also sends expansion to the capsule of the knee joint. It is supplied again by the posterior division of the femoral nerve, helps as the extensor of the knee joint, and also prevents the lateral displacement of the patella. Vastus intermedius. This takes origin from the upper 3/4 of the anterior and the lateral surface of the shaft of the femur, and it is inserted on the base of the patella. Supplied by the posterior division of the femoral nerve and acts as the extensor of the knee joint. Coming to the articularis genu, the last muscle of this region, this takes origin from the anterior surface of the femoral shaft, few centimeters above the patellar articular margin, and it is inserted on the suprapatellar bursa of the knee joint. The articularis genu helps in pulling the synovial membrane upward during extension of the knee, thereby preventing damage to it. Thank you.